The Citadel is an ancient... Citadel space is an unofficial term referring to any region of space controlled by a species that acknowledges the authority of the Citadel Council. At first glance, it appears this territory encompasses most of the galaxy. In reality, however, less than 1% of the stars have been explored. Even Mass Effect FTL drive is slow relative to the volume of the galaxy. Empty space and systems without suitable drive discharge sites are barriers to exploration. Only the mass relays allow ships to jump hundreds of light years in an instant, the key to expanding across an otherwise impassable galaxy. Whenever a new relay is activated, the destination system is rapidly developed. From that hub, FTL drive is used to expand to nearby star clusters. The result is a number of densely developed clusters, thinly spread across the vast expanse of space, connected by the mass relay network. Faster-than-light drives use element zero cores to reduce the mass of the ship, allowing higher rates of acceleration. This effectively raises the speed of light within the mass effect field, allowing high-speed travel with negligible relativistic time dilation effects. Starships still require conventional thrusters, chemical rockets, commercial fusion torch, economy ion engine, or military anti-proton drive, in addition to the FTL drive core. With only a core, a ship has no motive power. The amount of ESO and power required for a drive increases exponentially to the mass being moved and the degree it is being lightened. Very massive ships or very high speeds are prohibitively expensive. If the field collapses while the ship is moving at faster than light speed, the effects are catastrophic. The ship is snapped back to sublight velocity, the enormous excess energy shed in the form of lethal Cherenkov radiation. Larger warships are generally classified in one of four weights. Frigates are small, fast ships used for scouting and screening of larger vessels. Frigates often operate in wolf-pack flotillas. Cruisers are middleweight combatants, faster than dreadnoughts and more heavily armed than frigates. Cruisers are the standard patrol unit and often lead frigate flotillas. Dreadnoughts are kilometer-long capital ships mounting heavy, long-range firepower. They are only deployed for the most vital missions. Carriers are dreadnought-sized vessels that also carry large numbers of fighters. Smaller vessels are almost exclusively used in a support role to the warships during combat. Fighters are one-man craft used to perform close-range attacks on enemy ships. Interceptors are one-man craft optimized for destroying opposing fighters. The Normandy is a prototype starship developed by the Human Systems Alliance with the assistance of the Citadel Council. It is optimized for scouting and reconnaissance missions in unstable regions using state-of-the-art stealth technology. For most ships, the heat generated through standard operations is easily detectable against the absolute zero background of space. The Normandy, however, is able to temporarily sink this heat within the hull. Combined with refrigeration of the exterior hull, the ship can travel undetected for hours or drift passively for days of covert observation. This is not without risk. The stored heat must eventually be radiated, or it will build to levels capable of cooking the crew alive. Another component of the stealth system is the Normandy's revolutionary Tantalus drive, a Mass Effect core twice the standard size. The Tantalus drive generates mass concentrations that the Normandy falls into, allowing it to move without the use of heat-emitting thrusters.
Krogan genophage. The genophage bioweapon was created to end the Krogan rebellions. From the start, the Krogan had overwhelmed the Council. Only timely first contact with the Turians saved the Council races. The Turians fought the Krogan to a standstill, but sheer weight of Krogan numbers indicated the war could not be won through conventional means. The Turians collaborated with the Solarians to genetically engineer a counter to the rapid breeding of the Krogans. The genophage virus gained the energy to replicate by eating key genetic sequences. Every cell in every Krogan had to be altered for the weapon to be foolproof. Otherwise, the Krogan could have used gene therapy to fix the affected tissues. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. Anything that you can do in subtraction can be added back in with this. Okay. Medically, the genophage does not make any sense. But okay. Once a genophage strain could find no more genes to eat, it would starve and die, limiting spin-off mutation and contamination. Which means... okay. This created genetic flaw is hereditary. The Solarians believed the genophage would be used as a deterrent, a position the Turians viewed as naive. Once the project was complete, the Turians mass-produced and deployed it. The Krogan homeworld, their colonies, and all occupying worlds were infected. The resulting mutation made only 1 in 1,000 Krogan pregnancies come to term. It did not reduce fertility, but offspring viability. The rare females able to carry children to term became prizes the Krogan warlords fought brutal battles over. The Krogan are a shadow of their former glory. When the rebellion took place centuries ago, they are constantly reminded of the horror of the genophage and of their inability to counter it. The release of the genophage is still controversial, bitterly debated in many circles. After the Rachni War, the quick-breeding Krogan expanded at the expense of their neighbors. Warlords leveraged their veteran soldiers to seize living space, while the council races were still grateful. Over centuries, the Krogan conquered world after world. There was always just one more needed. When the council finally demanded withdrawal from the Yasari colony of Lucia, Krogan overlord Kredak stormed off the citadel, daring the council to take their worlds back. But the council had taken precautions. Finest STG operators and Asari huntresses have been drafted into a covert observation force, the Office of Special Tactics and Reconnaissance. Spectres opened the war with crippling strategic strikes. Krogan planets went dark as computer viruses flooded the extranet. Sabotaged antimatter refineries disappeared in blue-white annihilation. Headquarters stationed shattered into orbit-clogging debris, rammed by pre-placed suicide freighters. Still, this only delayed the inevitable. The war would have been lost if not for first contact with the Taurians, who responded to Krogan threats with a prompt declaration of war. Being on the far side of Krogan space from the Council, the Turians advanced rapidly into the lightly defended Krogan rear areas. The Krogan responded by dropping space stations and asteroids on Turian colonies. 3 worlds were rendered completely uninhabitable. This was precisely the wrong approach to take with the Taurians. Each is first and foremost a public servant, willing to risk his life to protect his comrades. Rather than increasing public war weariness, Krogan tactics stiffened Turian resolve. The arrival of Turian task forces saved many worlds from the warlords' marauding fleets, but it took development of the genophage bioweapon to end the war. There were decades of unrest afterwards. Rogue warlords and holdout groups of insurgents refused to surrender or disappeared into the frontier system to become pirates. The migrant fleet has little economic base, operating in a state of perpetual hand-to-mouth. While Quarian ships include light manufacturing and assembly plants, they lack heavy industries such as refining and shipbuilding. The fleet has tankers for water purification and oxygen cracking. Oxygen cracking? Okay. But the space-intensive nature of agriculture limits food production. A single disaster could destroy the fragile balance. Quarians earn income in creative ways. Because the government is obliged to provide food, water, air, and medical supplies for every individual, the Conclave strategically determines the course of the fleet to bring in resources and income. A species who suspects the migrant fleet is heading toward their space often offers a gift of surplus starships, fuel, and resources to convince the Conclave to alter course. As the fleet passes through a system, swarms of mining vessels work over asteroids for metals and siliceous. I suppose it's silicon-based, not salacious. Salacious. Yeah, I can only see it as salacious. As and then silicious. siliceous materials and cometary bodies for water, ice, and organics. Quarian miners are adept at locating and strip mining spaceborne resources. This sparks conflict with corporations already working the system. Large mining concerns spend millions on lobbyists and public relations portraying the Quarians as locusts, devouring the resources of a system before moving on. You know, what is so amazing to me is the fact that they have the entire galaxy. The entire galaxy. That's a lot of space. A lot of space. And still, people find this shit to argue over. The greatest asset of the Quarians is their rarefied skills. Most are experienced miners. Due to their life of perpetual salvage and repair, they are skilled engineers and technicians. More than once, the very corporations that lobby against the Quarians have made backroom deals with the fleet, arranging for skilled Quarians to fill space engineering jobs that other species would demand higher wages for. Quarians are widely hated among the working classes. Quarians are coming to take our jobs is a common response to the fleet's approach. Due to the Quarians' precarious existence and the need to enforce strict rationing, government is somewhat autocratic. The migrant fleet's operations are directed by the Admiralty, a board of 5 military officers who are advised by a legislative body called the Conclave. Each vessel in the fleet has the right to send representatives to the Conclave aboard the flagship. The number of representatives is based on crew size. Larger clans with bigger ships and more votes form the core of political blocs. Opposition comes from the Outriders Coalition, with delegates from thousands of smaller ships. The Admiralty defers to the Conclave's decisions in most circumstances. However, if all 5 members agree that a Conclave decision jeopardizes the survival of the fleet and cannot get the Conclave to address their concerns, they have the right to summarily overturn the legislative decision. After the Admiralty uses this extraordinary power, they must resign. If the Admiralty does not step down after using their veto, the rest of the military is obliged to arrest them. Each ship captain has authority over his vessel, but is advised by an elected civilian council, just as the Admiralty is advised by the Conclave. This relationship may range from cooperation to polite tolerance to outright hostility. But any captain who overrules his council without good reason is relieved of command by the Admiralty. Many Quarian ships are owned by clans who pool their resources to purchase used vessels from private sellers. Large ships are prestigious for big, rich clans, but a small ship means status for a small clan with enough personal wealth to afford a private vessel. Clan vessel captains are not subject to dismissal by the Admiralty. Abusive captains are a family problem if they do not disrupt the local operations of the fleet. Abusive captains are a, quote, family problem if they do not disrupt the operations of the fleet. The migrant fleet is the largest concentration of starfaring vessels in the galaxy, sprawling across millions of kilometers. It can take days for the entire fleet to pass through a mass relay. When the Quarians fled their homeworld, the fleet was a motley aggregation of freighters, shuttles, industrial vessels, and the odd warship. After 3 centuries, all have been modified to support larger crews as comfortably as possible. As the Quarians achieve stability, they began weeding out the ships least suitable for long-term habitation, selling them and pooling the money to buy larger and more space-worthy hulls. This process is ongoing as vessels wear out and break down. While some ships enjoy dedicated cabins with full privacy and sanitary facilities, many more are former freighters whose cargo bays and containers are pressurized and divided into family spaces using the simple metal cubicle bulkheads. The Quarians enliven these austere spaces with colorful quilts and tapestries, which also help muffle sound. The day-to-day operations of the fleet, traffic control, station keeping, supply distribution, and so on, are under military jurisdiction. Those ship captains have the authority to deviate from their assigned positions and may leave the fleet at any time. They are assumed to do so at their own risk. As the migrant fleet moves around the galaxy, many ships split off to pursue individual goals, returning days or years later. The Alliance uses a modified version of the ranking system that's been used for hundreds of years. Soldiers are classified into rank and file enlisted personnel, experienced non-commissioned officers, NCOs, and specially trained officers. The divide between naval personnel and ground forces, Marines, is small. Ground units are a specialized branch of the fleet, just as fighter squadrons are. This unity of command is imposed by the futility of fighting without control of orbit. Without the Navy, any army is pointless. The Marines, as a matter of pride, maintain some of their traditional rank titles. For example, Marines have privates and corporals instead of servicemen. In ascending order of responsibility, the ranks of the Alliance are enlisted, serviceman 3rd class, private 2nd class, serviceman 2nd class, private 1st class, serviceman 1st class, corporal. NCOs, service chief, gunnery chief, operations chief. Officers: 2nd lieutenant, 1st lieutenant, staff lieutenant, lieutenant commander, staff commander, captain, major. So, your Shepard only ever makes it to commander, staff commander. Captain, major, which, Kaiden makes it to. Rear admiral, general, admiral, and fleet admiral. The Alliance Military Vocational Code System classifies the career path of all service personnel. The MVC consists of one letter and one number. A soldier's MVC indicates proficiency, not rank. The letter notes career path. The number indicates level of experience, as indicated by service record, technical scores, and commendations. All 26 letters are used, and numbers run from 1 to 7. N is the letter code for Special Forces personnel. Starships, crew considerations. Cabins give each individual 10 cubic meters of space. On larger vessels, private rooms are common. As ships get smaller, numbers of crew packed into a single wardroom increases. Asari prefers shared spaces even on large vessels, while Krogan territorial instincts make it impossible for them to cohabitate, even on the smallest ships. On smaller vessels, hot bunking is the norm. Crew members assigned to different watches share the same bunk. When one gets off duty, he wakes up the person in the bunk. While that crewman is on duty, the first gets his rack time. Spacecraft compartments can be isolated by airtight doors in case of decompression. Cinematic vision of explosive compression is fiction. Hold compartments either take enough damage that occupants are killed instantly, or leak slowly enough that they reach protective gear. Explosive decompression, explosion, not implosion, is often more likely if you have a spark with an oxygen source. Compartments are equipable with an emergency life support apparatus, fireproof plastic bubbles with air bottles. Small when stowed, ELSA comfortably accommodates one individual inflated. Damage control procedure cuts off ventilation to burning compartments. Without oxygen to consume, fires die in seconds. The compartment is repressurized afterwards for crew recovery. Mass effect fields create an artificial gravity, agrav, plane, below the decks, preventing muscle atrophy and bone loss in 0G. Large vessels arrange their decks perpendicular to the thrust axis. The highest decks are at the bow and the lowest at the engines. This allows agrav to work with the inertial effects of thrust. Ships that can land arrange their decks laterally, so that crew can move about while the vessel is on the ground. Warships normally turn off their agrav systems during combat, reducing the heat generated by systems and increasing combat endurance. To provide a point of reference to navigation in 0G, floors are painted a different color from the walls and ceiling. Yeah, okay, So I do have a mod that adds labels, as you can see, to some missions. But yeah, I have to get in the habit of... Okay, so Liara is in Artemis Tau. Oh, hey Vandal. Kitty in my lap. Hello, baby. Yeah, I need to see the screen. Can't step all over everything. Hello, baby. Okay, yeah, you can't have the microphone, darling. No. Okay, so I'm gonna start writing this stuff down. So we're going to Artemis Tau. Now, some of this stuff is difficult to keep track of. So sometimes you go through a system, things are unavailable, you might be sent back. So the way that I'm going to be doing it is when I come into a system, I will explore the full system. I think some of the mods have...
Commander, urgent message from Alliance Command coming in. I'll patch it through.
Shepard, this is Admiral Hackett from Alliance Command. We've got a situation here, and you're the only one that can handle it.
What do you need, Admiral?
There's an Alliance training ground where we test weapons and technology in live-fire simulations. One of the VIs we use to simulate enemy tactics in the drills is no longer responding to our override commands. It's gone rogue.
Are you telling me this computer is thinking on its own?
We're not stupid, Shepard. This is a virtual intelligence, not a true AI. It's not self-aware, and it can't access any external systems. We didn't do anything illegal here. Virtual intelligence support is critical to our military success. VIs process thousands of status reports and react in nanoseconds. No human can do that. We need you to fight your way through the training ground of the VI core and manually disable it.
Can't you disable it remotely?
Our fail-safes aren't responding. The VI operates on a closed network. It can affect any external systems, but we don't have any direct access to its processes. We could bomb it from orbit, but the damage to the facility would be catastrophic. We'd prefer to have someone shut down the core. Someone like you. I know Spectres answer the Council, but you're still human. You're still part of the Alliance military, and right now we need you. The VI controls all the facility's weapons, drones, and automated defenses. You're the only one that can pull this off, Shepard. Good luck.
Okay. So I start exploring on the outer rings and then go in from there. Distant Pharos has seen only a cursory examination by an unmanned probe. It has a trace atmosphere of nitrogen and argon. Its surface is mainly composed of tin with deposits of carbon. Deeper craters have been partly filled by ice, suggesting there may be a significant amount of water locked up beneath its frozen surface. A large, ice-bright crater in the southern hemisphere makes the planet visible from the inner system, leading to the planet's name. Turian insignia recovered. Scans of the planet Pharos revealed an abandoned base on its moon. The recon team found nothing of interest, but much of the debris was marked with the Magna Colony insignia. Circe is a modestly sized hydrogen-helium gas giant with traces of sulfur and chlorine. These give it its striking yellow-green tint. As the development of the Proteus colony continues, Circe will likely be developed for helium-3 mining. gas deposit surveyed. While scanning this gas giant, you detected a large concentration of helium-3. Nausicaa. I don't know why it needs two A's. Nausicaa. Traces of sodium in the atmosphere give Nausicaa its overall dark gray color, but is otherwise a typical hydrogen-helium gas giant. An abundance of water vapor in the upper atmosphere accounts for its white clouds. Okay. Isn't always easily apparent, but these bands usually have something hidden in them. Can be hard to find. Sometimes it'll sparkle. Not seeing anything right now. Proteus. Like the Hanar homeworld, Proteus has more than 90% oceanic cover. The incredible heat thrown off from Athens raises global humidity to 100%, creating constant cloud cover and powering colossal typhoons that rage across the surface year-round. Hot, humid, and storm-racked, Proteus' rare combination of oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere and carbon-based biosphere nevertheless recommended for colonization. A pilot program is studying the possibility of colonies below the ocean's surface, safe from the worst effects of the weather. Gas deposit surveyed. Proteus has a large amount of free oxygen. Salamis. Geological properties of Salamis have been scanned from orbit, but little else is known about it. Due to its thick carbon dioxide atmosphere and proximity to the energetic star Athens, the equatorial daytime temperatures have been known to turn the surface molten. The crust is composed of iron, with deposits of platinum group metals. Okay. Usually there's a place to land, but not here. So we'll probably be sent back to the system later. Arcanes. Small hydrogen-helium gas giant, Arcanes has been developed as a full-featured, if modest, stopover for ships hauling refined materials from Therum. In addition to a powerful magnetic field to dump drive charge, Arcanes has a largely automated infrastructure of helium-3 refining and deuterium mining on its many water ice moons. Gas deposit surveyed. Scans of this gas giant have detected a large concentration of nitrogen. There's a sparkle. Carbonaceous asteroid, a dark, carbon-rich asteroid. Medallion recovered. Scans of the asteroid field in the NASA system revealed some strange readings. Upon closer inspection, Navigator Presley discovered the remains of an abandoned Solarian fighter. The only thing of interest on board was a League of One medallion. Armeni is a terrestrial world with an unusually thin atmosphere of krypton and xenon. Its surface is composed of silica, with deposits of carbonaceous materials. The initial flyby probe of Armeni detected multiple areas at the equator with oddly regular surface protrusions. Closer investigation revealed those as millions of elaborate crypts, a few meters below the surface, left by a long-extinct spacefaring species called the Zea. Many human universities wish to perform archaeological excavations. Council law holds grave sites as sacrosanct, however, and the matter has been tied up in courts for a decade. Zakros. Zakros is a terrestrial world with nitrogen methane atmosphere containing trace amounts of hydrocarbons. Its frigid surface is mainly composed of water ice and hydrocarbon slush. Most of the surface is not solid enough to support the full weight of a landed ship. If approach is necessary, use shuttles or keep the ship's mass effect envelope up. Okay, I'm going to do Therum, but here I'm just going to do, since I'm going to be landing there, I'm going to do these last 2 planets first. Metal-rich asteroid. Heavy metal surveyed. Scans of this large asteroid field have revealed several deposits of platinum. Vestos is a small terrestrial with trace atmosphere of carbon dioxide and xenon. Surface is scorching hot and mainly composed of sulfur and various silicates. There's little of interest on this desolate world. Okay, so Therum is where Liara is. Therum is a distant but rich industrial world claimed by the Human Systems Alliance. Its plentiful heavy metals have fueled the recent manufacturing boom on Earth. Core samples rich with the fossils of simple silicon-based organisms indicate Therum was more habitable in the past than it is at present. Perhaps this explains the many Prothean ruins dotting the surface, most of which have been looted by mining corporations. Hold on a second, I need to move my cord. Okay, last sentence. Perhaps this explains the many Prothean ruins dotting the surface, most of which have been looted by mining corporations. First time I tried to play Mass Effect, Therum is as far as I ever made it. I was so frustrated by the Mako that I permanently signed off and didn't play again or even try to play. Yeah, so this that's as far as I ever made it. What it came out, I think the entire series was between like 2007 and 2012. So that means I tried Mass Effect in 2007. I hated it. Even though I mean, I'm major BioWare fan, was right there for Knights of the Old Republic. Played that on the Xbox when it first came out. Also loved Dragon Age, but despised Mass Effect. Really hated it. In fact, there's still a joke around this house of just like ugly environments and me hating silver crates in hallways. So I didn't try between 2007 and 2015. I think that is when Inquisition came out. I became active in the Dragon Age community on Tumblr and Reddit, and from there saw a someone put up a poll about what was the best BioWare romance, and Garrus won by a landslide, and I was like personally offended, like how could this be? So I made myself play the game, and I'm glad I did. But yeah, the image of me trying to like navigate Therum and just ending up with like a dead sparking Mako is the thing that got stuck in my head. It's not that I couldn't have figured it out, it's just that I really, really didn't want to. I don't like I don't like apocalyptic, which means I don't like Fallout, although I adore Skyrim. And I don't like space because it's just ugly and cheap, and they didn't really go out of their way to develop like interesting, or like no plants. It's all just, I mean, it's just all ugly rocks. So it's like silver crates and ugly rocks. So yeah, I never made it at first. Okay. Yeah, as far as I know, everybody should be fully set forever. There is no such thing as fixing their stats. Okay.
Commander, I'm picking up some strange readings. Really strange, like off the damn charts. It looks like it's coming from an underground complex a few clicks away from the drop zone.
Yeah, so now the Mako can essentially fly. And look at how much better Therum looks modded. It's still ugly rocks, but ugly rocks with texture and lava. So in a legendary run through, essentially, you don't even shoot at stuff. At least I don't. I don't even shoot at stuff in the Mako. I just run by it. I run past it. The Mako combat is probably the hardest thing to do in a legendary run through. At least in Mass Effect 1. You can do a lot, but it took me forever to realize you could just run past those guys. So I don't need the experience, I don't need the loot, I don't need to shoot anything on the way up.
Only a fool punches a knapsack in the mouth. We should sneak around and pull its tail.
So my aim in the Mako is kind of sucky. It's better that I am playing this low difficulty. Sad but true. Where the hell are you? Okay. Okay, Geth Juggernaut. I think, yeah, I was missing them because it didn't make it over the crates. Yeah, I don't think I know how to get out of this damn thing. Yee! Yeah, you see the boost is really high. Okay. How do I get out of the Mako? It's been a while. It'd be E, right? Come on now. Okay. How do I exit vehicle? Okay, Q.
I'm on my way.
Okay, and yeah, there is no ammo power in this. That is something that I do appreciate in Mass Effect 2 and 3. I'm doing a run through using cryo ammo, which is fantastic. At least in Mass Effect 3. I just like shattering things and people.
Nothing but rocks, dirt, and lava. Reminds me of home.
Remember to stay hydrated.
I love you, Garrus. Okay. There's no real reason for me to open this up. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Good job. Someone else actually used their sniper rifle. There's no reason for me to open this gate up. That's what we avoided to come in. You can tell because you can see all the red on the mini-map. So I don't want to open this one. I do want to open this one. I'm not necessarily going to be grabbing like every bit of gear from stops like this. So yeah, if you want more experience, which I don't need, you can open up that gate and shoot at the myriad guns. I just don't need to. I'm also not gonna shoot at the Colossus or the stuff that's here. I will run some of it over. Colossus were resized to something like really cute in this. They're much smaller. But I tend to just run them over. Higher difficulties, which would be a regular game, I just blow past them. I certainly never defeated a Thresher Maw on highest difficulties. I have lots of respect for these games in higher difficulties, so I have done it twice. I don't think I'm gonna do it again, because running through this series, even on easy difficulty, it's very therapeutic, but I've also got like PTSD in some spots, like Geth Hunters in Mass Effect 2 seem to upset me very much for being fictional. Yeah, I can probably stop there. There's probably something back there. I'm not gonna do it. A couple of places in Mass Effect 2 give me a lot of agitation internally, which is a clear reflection of how agitated I was twice trying to fix them. Mass Effect 2, in the higher difficulties, I just don't like the heavy ammo mechanic where you essentially just hoard heavy ammo and that's how you win. I don't like it. I prefer
Negative contacts.
I prefer headshots, which we know. So all the stuff behind me is good for energy farming, for experience farming, but isn't really necessary. Yeah, see, none of my guys are in cover.
Clear.
Also, it would be very difficult to do Pinnacle Station on Insanity difficulty. I do know I did that also twice. But it's just going to make it much harder because you would, with things taking so many shots, it's just going to eat up your time.
Clear.
So, sometime off-screen, I might challenge myself to do Legendary again, particularly now that I have an established canon character who will start with the best of everything. But I believe I will keep that laughter factory. See, you either laugh or cry. I will keep all of that effort off-screen. But I remember Mass Effect, one particular...
Now it gets fun.
Fuck's sake. Alright, so... Singularity is very helpful.
Jammer's online.
Stuff like that. It greatly reduces the frustration factor. So yeah, in just replaying Mass Effect 2, I did so many spots where I was experiencing referred PTSD. One of the hardest and most frustrating is when you go get the IFF. All of those husks make life very difficult. I remember with the way I won, okay, security briefing for all EAE mining operations. Recent EAE operations logs in the Exodus cluster have flagged a series of unauthorized orbital adjustments to the asteroid designed for a prospective orbital station near Terra Nova. The trajectory adjustments do not align with our standard protocols and have been executed outside of our operational oversight. Immediate investigation is recommended. So that's bring down the sky. Hello. But with the IFF where you have to just dodge a million husks while shooting out like the core. Oh my god. I remember that fight took about, I believe it was 2.5 hours of learning the pattern of sorry, there's a noise. Bread's done. You may not be able to hear that, but I think my voice gets distorted when that happens.
I smell trouble.
I believe it took me 2.5 hours to do one fight where I worked out the pattern of running in circles so that the husks never touched me. Because if they did touch me, I was dead. And I brought Tali and Samara, and they made it worse if they were alive because they screwed up the husks' running pattern.
I've never visited a Prothean ruin before. Aside from the Citadel, I mean.
So yeah, I'm not signing up for that again. And I don't even know how to do a Thresher Maw. You don't have to. But the Mako is like wet tissue paper. There's a very long fight, and you cannot miss a shot,
busy here. Sterile white. Protheans sure build things homey.
Just lead the way.
No sense standing around.
Yeah, I'd make it impossible, Commander, because I would refuse to get on elevators.
Hello? Could somebody help me? Please? Can you hear me out there? I'm trapped. I need help.
Are you okay? What happened to you?
Listen, this thing I'm in is a Prothean security device. I cannot move, so I need you to get me out of it, all right?
Your mother is working with Saren. Whose side are you on?
What? I am not on anybody's side. I may be Benezia's daughter, but I'm nothing like her. I have not spoken to her in years. Please, just get me out of here.
How did you end up in there?
I was exploring the ruins when the Geth showed up, so I hid in here. Can you believe that? Geth beyond the veil! I activated the tower's defenses. I knew the barrier curtains would keep them out. When I turned it on, I must have hit something I wasn't supposed to. I was trapped in here. You must get me out, please!
Your mother is working with Saren.
What?
Whose side are you?
I may be Benezia's daughter, but I'm nothing like her. I have not spoken to her in years.
We just need to figure some way past this energy field.
It's a Prothean barrier curtain. I knew it would keep me safe from the Geth. When I turned it on, I must have hit something I wasn't supposed to. I was trapped in here.
We'll find some way to help you.
There is a control in here that should deactivate this thing. You'll have to find some way past the barrier curtain. That's the tricky part. The defenses cannot be shut off from the outside. I don't know how you'll get in here. Be careful. There is a Krogan with the Geth. They have been trying different ways to get past the barrier.
Alright. I don't really need to take cover that often. I'm okay out in the open. I'm not going to die immediately, so... So I actually appreciate Mass Effect 1's level design better than either of the other two games, really. Because you keep moving. In the other games, the other two, you have lots of respawn points where you're just stuck somewhere waiting for waves and waves and waves to end. Here, there is a good sense of forward motion that the other games lack. I get really antagonized in Mass Effect 2, where you just sit behind a silver crate and wait for just rows and rows and rows. I do not like that. So I find Mass Effect 2 to be more than a little bit of a chore. I don't like their level design. And they don't really have the expansive sense of exploration that you get here. By the way, don't take elevators, and don't use mining lasers. For fuck's sake, this is so stupid. You would have just collapsed everything. That is not structurally sound, people. Okay.
Oh, how did you get in here? I didn't think there was any way past the barrier.
We have to get you out of here before more Geth arrive.
Yes, you're right. I've seen enough of them to last a lifetime. That button should shut down my containment field.
Or get us all trapped. But, you know. She didn't know what she was doing the first time.
Any idea how we get out of this place?
There is an elevator back in the center of the tower. At least I think it's an elevator. It should take us out of here. Come on! I still cannot believe all this. Why would the Geth come after me? Do you think Benezia's involved?
Saren's looking for the conduit. You're a Prothean expert. Obviously, he wants you to help him find it.
The conduit? But I don't know.
What the hell was that?
These ruins are not stable. That mining laser must have triggered a seismic event. We have to hurry. The whole place is caving in.
Joker, get the Normandy airborne and lock in on my signal. On the double, mister!
Aye, aye, Commander. Secure and away. ETA 8 minutes.
If I die in here, I'll kill him. Surrender. Or don't. That would be more fun.
In case you didn't notice, this place is falling apart.
Exhilarating, isn't it? Thanks for getting rid of those energy fields for us. Hand the doctor over.
Whatever it is you want, you are not getting it from me.
She'll stay with us, thanks.
Not an option. Saren wants her, and he always gets what he wants. Kill them. Spare the Asari if you can. If not, doesn't matter.
Yeah, see, that's therapeutic, because this is actually a really tough fight. Need some higher difficulties. Yeah. I remember that fight being tough. So, I have respect, high respect, for the difficulty levels. I just don't wanna.
Too close, Commander. 10 more seconds we would have been swimming in molten sulfur. The Normandy isn't equipped to land in exploding volcanoes. They tend to fry our sensors and melt our hull. Just for future reference.
We almost died out there and your pilot is making jokes?
It's a coping mechanism. You'll get used to it.
I see. It must be a human thing. I don't have a lot of experience dealing with your species, Commander. But I am grateful to you. You saved my life back there, and not just from the volcano. Those Geth would have killed me or dragged me off to Saren.
What did Saren want with you? Do you know something about the conduit?
Only that it was somehow connected to the Prothean extinction. That is my real area of expertise. I have spent the past 50 years trying to figure out what happened to them.
Just how old are you exactly?
I hate to admit it, but I am only 106.
Damn! I hope I look that good when I'm your age.
A century may seem like a long time to a short-lived species like yours, but among the Asari I am barely considered more than a child. That is why my research has not received the attention it deserves. Because of my youth, other Asari scholars tend to dismiss my theories on what happened to the Protheans.
I've got my own theory on why the Protheans disappeared.
With all due respect, Commander, I have heard every theory out there. The problem is finding evidence to support them. The Protheans left remarkably little behind. It is almost as if someone did not want the mystery solved. It is like someone came along after the Protheans were gone and cleansed the galaxy of clues. But here is the incredible part. According to my findings, the Protheans were not the first galactic civilization to mysteriously vanish. This cycle began long before them.
Where'd you come up with this theory? I thought there wasn't any evidence.
I have been working on this for 50 years. I have tracked down every scrap and shred of evidence. Eventually, subtle patterns start to emerge, patterns that hint at the truth. It is difficult to explain to someone else. I cannot point to one specific thing to prove my case. It is more a feeling derived from a half-century of dedicated research. But I know I'm right, and eventually I will be able to prove it. There were other civilizations before the Protheans. This cycle has repeated itself many times over.
If the Protheans weren't the first, then who was?
I don't know. There is barely any evidence on the Protheans, even less on those who came before them. I cannot prove my theory, but I know I am right. The galaxy is built on a cycle of extinction. Each time a great civilization rises up, it is suddenly and violently cast down. Only ruins survive. The Protheans rose up from a single world until their empire spanned the entire galaxy. Yet even they climbed to the top on the remains of those who came before. Their greatest achievements, the mass relays and the Citadel, are based on the technology of those who came before them. And then, like all the other forgotten civilizations throughout galactic history, the Protheans disappeared. I have dedicated my life to figuring out why.
They were wiped out by a race of sentient machines, the Reapers.
The Reapers? But I have never heard of. How do you know this? What evidence do you have?
There was a damaged Prothean beacon on Eden Prime. It burned a vision into my brain. I'm still trying to sort out what it all means.
Visions? Yes, that makes sense. The beacons were designed to transmit information directly into the mind of the user. Finding one that still works is extremely rare. No wonder the Geth attacked Eden Prime. The chance to acquire a working beacon, even a badly damaged one, is worth almost any risk. But the beacons were only programmed to interact with Prothean physiology. Whatever information you received would have been confused, unclear. I am amazed you were able to make sense of it at all. A lesser mind would have been utterly destroyed by the process. You must be remarkably strong-willed, Commander.
This isn't helping us find Saren, or the conduit.
Of course, you are right. I am sorry, my scientific curiosity got the better of me. Unfortunately, I do not have any information that could help you find the conduit, or Saren.
I don't know why Saren wanted you out of the picture, but I think we'll be a lot better off if we bring you along.
Thank you, Commander. Saren might come after me again. I cannot think of anywhere safer than here on your ship. And my knowledge of the Protheans might be useful later on.
And her biotics will come in handy when the fighting starts.
Good to have you on the team, Liara.
Thank you, Commander. I am very grateful. Oh, I am afraid I am feeling a bit lightheaded.
When was the last time you ate, or slept? Dr. Chakwa should take a look at you.
It is probably just mental exhaustion, coupled with the shock of discovering the Protheans' true fate. I need some time to process all this. Still, it could not hurt to be examined by a medical professional. It will give me the chance to think things over. Are we finished here, Commander?
We can talk again after you've seen the doctor. The rest of you, dismissed.
Mission reports are filed, Commander. You want me to patch you through to the Council?
Patch him through, Joker.
Setting up the link now, Commander.
We've received your report, Commander. I understand Dr. Tassoni is on the Normandy.
I assume you're taking the necessary security precautions.
Liara's on our side. The Geth were trying to kill her.
Benezia would never allow Saren to kill her daughter.
Maybe she doesn't know.
Or maybe we don't know her. We never expected she could become a traitor.
At least the mission was a success.
Apart from the utter destruction of a major Prothean ruin. Was that really necessary, Shepard?
The Geth were crawling all over those ruins. We were lucky to make it out alive.
Of course, Commander. The mission must always take priority.
Good luck, Commander. Remember, we are all counting on you.
Okay, so the collections are showing up. Valuable minerals, Turian insignias. So we'll finish up those that comes to fruition in Mass Effect 3. It is, at least for me, it gives probably like 5 minutes of content I really enjoy. Solarians, League of One. Before they joined the Citadel Council, the Solarians' most potent military tool was a small reconnaissance team known as the League of One. Their primary training was in espionage and assassination. Never more than a dozen strong, the team was adept at infiltrating the tightest defenses and eliminating all necessary obstacles. Only a few top members of government and military were privy to the League's identities. League members wore no distinguishing garments and held no particular ranks. The only evidence of their participation in the League was a small medallion presented to each member upon induction. This secrecy was maintained until the formation of the Council. In an effort to dispel rumors and appease these new Asari partners, the Solarian Union released all classified documents pertaining to the League. The League of One was suddenly exposed and in danger of being hunted by enemies of the Solarians. Before any harm could be done, the team mysteriously disappeared. Most assumed this was a convenient lie to help hide their identities, but a few months later the inner cabinet was murdered. Though there was no incriminating evidence, it was clear who was responsible. Realizing the threat posed by this rogue outfit, the Special Tasks Group dispatched a team of hunters. When they didn't return, the STG dispatched 10 of its brightest operators with broad discretionary powers. Only 2 returned. They reported no evidence of the League. No further incidents were reported, and it was assumed the League was wiped out. Some recently declassified documents, however, have suggested there may have been a 13th member who eluded the Solarian military. So, this is weird because nobody knows who it was, and it was over 1,000 years ago. So, okay. And Solarians only lived till 40. At about the time the Solarians and Asari were forming the Council, the Turians were embroiled in a bitter civil war. The Unification War, as it was later named, began with hostilities between the colonies furthest from the Turian homeworld, Palaven. These colonies were run by local chieftains, many of whom distanced themselves from the hierarchy. Without the galvanizing influence of the government, the colonies became increasingly isolated and xenophobic. Colonists began wearing emblems or facial markings to differentiate themselves from members of other colonies, and open hostilities became common. When war finally broke out, the hierarchy maintained strict diplomacy and refused to get involved. After several years of fighting, less than a dozen factions remained, and the hierarchy finally intervened. By that time, the chieftains were too weak to resist. They were forced to put an end to the fighting and renew their allegiance to the hierarchy. Though peace was restored, it took several decades for animosity between colonists to fade completely. To this day, most Turians still wear the facial markings of their home colonies. As a point of interest, the Turian term barefaced refers to one who is beguiling or not to be trusted. It also is a slang term for politicians. The Prothean beacon downloaded its knowledge into aliens, extinct races. Hold on. Prothean cipher. I think I read it, but alright. Prothean beacon downloaded its knowledge into Lieutenant Commander Shepard on Eden Prime, causing confusing dreams and visions. While the imagery is becoming clearer with time, the meaning of the beacon communication remains elusive. It has been suggested that Prothean data recording is highly dependent on certain points of view, what Carl Jung described as the collective unconscious. The cipher needed to comprehend the images implanted in Shepard's mind is the cultural knowledge of a Prothean, the archetypes, biological instincts, and common experiences universal to the race. Since the Protheans have been dead for millennia, it may be impossible to acquire this cipher. Armatures. Armatures are quadruped all-terrain heavy weapons platforms akin to the armored fighting vehicles of other races. Geth being synthetic intelligences, armatures are not crude vehicles, but intelligent entities capable of independent decision-making and learning. Armatures are equipped with heavy kinetic barriers. Their main cannon, mounted on the articulated head turret, appears to be a highly efficient conventional mass accelerator. It is capable of firing in anti-personnel and anti-tank modes. Some armatures carry drones into battle, presumably for reconnaissance purposes. Others host a swarm of insect-sized repair microbots. Hoppers. Don't be fuckers. The Geth models, collectively dubbed Hoppers by Alliance forces, are electronic warfare platforms. They can project electromagnetic radiation across a broad spectrum as an offensive weapon. They can also perform cyber warfare attacks against the onboard computers of body armor hardsuits and weapons, adversely affecting their performance. The structure of Hoppers consists of an advanced and highly elastic artificial muscle material. This allows a Hopper to compress its entire body for powerful leaps. Hoppers also have thousands of molecule-scale barbs. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to make sense of this. If you only had thousands of molecule-scale barbs, that would be nothing. 1,000 molecules is like nothing. But if you're saying that the barbs are paved with molecule-scale surfaces that there are then thousands of, that would work. Okay, so Hoppers have thousands of molecule-scale barbs on the surfaces of their hands and feet, which are used to cling to walls and ceilings. Hoppers are very difficult targets, leaping from one surface to another in rapid succession. Quarians have no record of any Geth models similar to Hoppers. This new morphotype must have been developed over the last 300 years by the Geth themselves. This is troubling proof that the Geth are continuing to move toward technological singularity. Experts in synthetic life are intrigued that Hoppers appear to be even more organic than the baseline Geth. The identifying subtypes of Hopper have been codenamed Sapper, Stalker, and Ghost. As the human race expands its territory and raises the general standard of living, demand for industrial resources continues to grow. Many planets, moons, and asteroids contain a wealth of resources, but many systems have barely been charted, let alone thoroughly surveyed. Unmanned probes are one solution, but they are often lost to space hazards, unforeseen circumstances, or theft by salvagers. In recent year, AGE-5, the Alliance Geological Service, AGES, AGES, the Alliance Geological Service, has offered bounties to private individuals or teams willing to perform mineralogical surveys on the frontier. This survey data is made publicly available to further corporate development. Due to the cost of travel and the dangers of operating on hostile worlds, it is rarely a profitable endeavor. Light metals. Metals with low atomic weight are often used in the construction of spacecraft and vehicles. Heavy metals. Metals with higher atomic weights are used to construct equipment components. The platinum group elements are particularly useful. Rare earths. Most useful materials in this category are radioactive or magnets. Gases. Various gases are required to support all known forms of sapient life. Some are commonly used as fuel. Real-time communications is possible thanks to networks of expensive mass relay comm buoys that can daisy-chain a transmission via lasers. Comm buoys are maintained in patterns built outward from each mass relay. The buoys are little more than a cluster of primitive, miniature mass relays. Each individual buoy is connected to a partner on another buoy in the network, forming a corridor of low mass space. Tight beam communication lasers are piped through these tubes of FTL space, allowing virtually instantaneous communication to anywhere on the network. The network connects across regions by communication lasers throughout the mass relays. With this system, the only communications delay is the light lag between the source of destination and the closest buoy. So long as all parties remain within half a light second, 1,500 kilometers of buoys, seamless real-time communications are possible. Since buoys are maintained in all traveled areas, most enjoy unlimited instant communication. Ships only suffer communications lag when operating off established deep space routes around uninhabited outer system gas giants and other unsettled areas. During wartime, comm buoy networks are the first target of attack. Once the network is severed, it can take anywhere from weeks to years to get a message out of a contested system. In systems where a buoy network has not yet been built or has been destroyed, rapid communication means ferrying information through high-speed courier ships and unmanned data drones. Ship status report from Navigator Charles Presley, XO. Welcome back, Commander. While you were away on mission, things here in the Normandy were uneventful. The most excitement we had up here was upon your return. I must say it would have been rather thrilling to watch those lava geysers erupt if we hadn't been swinging around in our harnesses as Joker avoided them. Commander, I know we spoke about this before, but I have to ask, is it wise to have another alien aboard the Normandy, especially one with close ties to Saren's top lieutenant? You might say she hasn't spoken with her mother, but how do we know she's telling the truth? I don't mean to be inflammatory, nor question your decisions. I just think caution ought to be warranted. Message from Shepard Fan 3000. Hello, Commander. I do hope this reaches you. I paid a bolus 300 credits to get your extranet address for me. Winky smiley face. I just wanted to say again what an honor it was to meet you in person, Commander Shepard. Let me know when you're back on Earth. I'd love to buy you that drink sometimes. Thank you for your service. All the best, Conrad Werner. So, 2 winky smiley faces. I love you, Conrad. Shepard Fan 3000. Okay. Message from Erdnot Rex. Shepard, come down to the cargo bay. I want to talk to you about Saren. Rex. No new messages.
Yes, Commander?
Carry on, Presley.
Yes, ma'am.
I prefer gold to silver, for my medal. I figured you'd recommend me for one since I pulled your boots out of the fire.
If we present you with a medal, you'll end up sitting on stage listening to politicians make speeches for a couple of hours.
That's a good point. They'd probably make me shave, too. I spent the last 7 weeks working on this baby. No medal's worth that. So, Commander, why don't you tell me why you're really here?
How's the Normandy performing? Is she everything they said she'd be?
She's the best ship in the fleet. If you've got a pilot who knows how to handle her. Balance isn't what you'd expect. Takes a while to get used to that oversized drive core we got stuffed in the back, and her power can sneak up on you if you're not careful. The Normandy's probably too much ship for your average Alliance pilot, Commander. Lucky for you, I'm anything but average.
I like to know my crew. Mind if I ask you a few questions?
I can see where this is going. You did a background check on me, didn't you? Well, I'll tell you the same thing I told the captain. You want me as your pilot. I'm not good. I'm not even great. I am the best damn helmsman in the Alliance fleet. Top of my class in flight school, I earned that. All those commendations in my file, I earned every single one. Those weren't given to me as charity for my disease.
I'm sorry, Joker. I didn't even know you were sick.
You mean you didn't know? Oh, crap. Okay, I've got Vrolik's syndrome, brittle bone disease. The bones in my legs never develop properly. They're basically hollow, too much force and they'll shatter. Even with crutches and my leg braces, it's hard to get around. One wrong step and crack! It's very dramatic. But I've learned to manage my condition, Commander. Put the Normandy in my hands and I'll make her dance for you. Just don't ask me to get up and dance unless, you like the sound of snapping shin bones.
I need to know more about this Vrolik's syndrome if I'm putting my ship in your hands.
Yeah, of course you do. It's an extremely rare condition. Nobody knows exactly what causes it. Genetic, maybe. It's treatable, but there's no cure. They classify my case as moderate to severe. I was born with over a dozen fractures, hip, thighs, ankles. My bones were already breaking in the womb. 100 years ago, I wouldn't have survived past my first year. Lucky for me, modern medical science has turned me into a productive member of society.
You're not gonna break a bone trying to fly the ship, are you?
I don't fly with my feet, Commander, so I'm fine as long as I'm in this chair. I gotta be real careful when I get up to take a piss, though. I can do my job as well as anyone on the ship. Better, actually. So don't worry about it.
I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. Let's talk about something else.
Whatever you want, Commander.
Why does everyone call you Joker?
It's a lot shorter than saying Alliance Flight Lieutenant Jeff Moreau. Plus, I love to make little children laugh.
You're dodging the question.
Look, I didn't pick the name. One of the instructors in flight school used to bug me about never smiling. She started calling me Joker, and it stuck.
Why didn't you ever smile?
Hey, I worked my ass off in flight school, Commander. The world's not gonna hand you anything if you go around grinning like an idiot. By the end of the year, I was the best pilot in the academy, even better than the instructors, and everybody knew it. They'd all got their asses kicked by the sickly kid with the creaky little legs. One guess who was smiling at graduation?
How'd you end up joining the Alliance?
Look, if you're looking for an inspirational tale of the crippled kid overcoming impossible odds, you're gonna be disappointed. My mother was a civilian contractor working for the Alliance. I basically grew up on the Arcturus station back when they were building up the fleets. Spend all that time around Alliance ships, there's a good chance you'll end up going to the Academy.
I have to go.
All right, see ya.
Let me see if there's any Codex entries back in the conference room. Sometimes it updates. Oh. So Therum counts as a major plot point. We just did a round talking to everybody, but we should repeat it.
Commander, do you have a minute?
I always make time for my officers.
Off the record, I think there's something wrong here. This Saren is looking for records on some kind of galactic extinction, but we can't get backup from the Council? Sorry, Commander. There's writing on the wall here, but someone isn't reading it.
The Council doesn't want to believe anything's wrong. I'd call it human nature, but...
I hear you. It just seems like a group that's been around as long as the Council should see this coming. I mean, it's funny, we finally get out here, and the final frontier was already settled. And the residents don't even seem impressed by the view. Or the dangers.
Well, well. You're a romantic. Did you sign on for the dream, Malenko? Secure a man's future in space?
Yeah, I read a lot of those books when I was a kid, where the hero goes to space to prove himself worthy of a woman he loves, or, you know, for justice. Maybe I was a romantic in the beginning, but I thought about it after brain camp. Biotic acclimation and temperance training. I'm not looking for the dream. I just want to do some good. See what's out here. Sorry if I got too informal. Protocol wasn't a big focus back in Bot.
Tell me about it.
Biotic acclimation and temperance didn't last past the airlock. To the kids they hauled in, it was brain camp. Sorry, hauled in is unkind. We were encouraged to commit to an evaluation of our abilities so an understanding of biotics could be compiled. There are worse results of accidental exposure to element 0 in the womb. Beats the brain tumors some kids grew up with.
Is there some question about how you were exposed?
My mother was downwind of a transport crash. It was before there were human biotics, a little after the discovery of the Martian ruins. It only gets iffy around 63 when kinetics was running out of first-gen subjects. Until then, they'd relied on accidentals. A bunch of guys in suits show up at your door after school, and next thing you know, you're out on Jump Zero.
Jump Zero is Gagarin Station, right? What's it like?
Yeah, that's the official name. Biggest and farthest facility we had for decades. Right on the termination shock, the outer edge of the solar system. It's where they did all the Goose Chase FTL research before we caught on to using mass effect fields. It was a sterile research platform when I was there.
There were other kids in the same boat, right? At least you weren't alone out there.
That's true. We did have a little circle that'd get together every night before lights out. We didn't have much to do, though. It was a research platform then, and kinetics kept Jump Zero off the extranet to prevent leaks.
Then you must have had plenty of time to get to know each other.
Yeah, we'd sit around and bull every night after dinner, play cards or network games. There was this girl named Rana, who had a little circle grow up around her. She was from Turkey. Her family was very rich. But she was smart and charming as hell. Beautiful. But not stuck up about it. Like you, I guess. Ma'am.
Sounds like she was special to you.
She was. Maybe she felt the same. But things never felt together. Training, you know.
There were other kids in the same boat, right? At least you weren't alone.
That's true. We didn't have much to do, though. It was a research platform then, and kinetics kept Jump Zero
You
off.
know of any intentional exposures for certain?
No one knows. Doesn't mean they didn't happen. As big as the exposures were, it was hard to track down accidentals. It was different then. No one knew the potential, so there wasn't a lot of regulation. Anything kinetics did was gold. I'm not saying they intentionally detonated drives over our outposts, but in retrospect, they were damn quick on the scene.
Jump Zero's a long way from home. What was it like?
The grand gateway to humanity looks a lot better in the vids. Anyway, this was supposed to be a casual debrief, not a bull session about stuff that happened years ago.
I wanted to get to know you a little better, that's all. Thanks for the talk, Caden.
Well, you're welcome, ma'am. You, make a habit of getting this personal with everyone?
Of course, but I don't enjoy it with everyone. We'll talk again later.
I'll need some time to process that, Commander. But, yeah, I'd like that.
So I'm trying to avoid romance options, but it gets tough to navigate. You eventually just get to a point where you go, hey, cut it out. no, instead of, being able to be graceful about it.
Anything you need, Commander?
What's your opinion on the last mission?
Dr. Tassoni. She seems nice enough. I mean, if you like the bookish sort.
Yeah, I'm going to avoid anything that looks romance-like or that I care about his opinion. So, yeah.
We'll talk later, Caden.
I'm out.
I'd like that.
I don't want to hurt his feelings. I would very much like to avoid... It's very strange, this game, interprets kindness or politeness as romantic interest, which is deeply frustrating.
The Asari are remarkable, aren't they? Can you believe Liara is twice my age?
Okay, that is odd. Because, by canon, okay, so let me do the math here. Liara is 105, which would mean that Dr. Chakwas is like 52 at completely full gray. And by canon, at this point in time, humans are supposed to live to about 130, meaning that she's not even middle-aged yet for the regular human life cycle. So if you were to really do the math, for as gray as she looks, full gray, she should probably be in her 90s in a correlated time thing. I was interested in this because I did a fan fiction called Green Fruit, who had a male Shepard with Chakwas as a love interest. And she also, so the prompt was not only that, but a pregnancy and a baby. So, yeah, weird math.
I should go.
Goodbye, Commander.
So yeah, that is, even in our time frame, that is not a 52-year-old woman.
Commander, are you coming to check up on me?
You look much better. How are you feeling?
Dr. Chakwas assures
I don't know
me
why
I'm
it's so
going to be
dark
fine.
in here.
I was impressed with her knowledge of Asari physiology.
You're in good hands. Dr. Chakwas knows what she's doing.
I never properly thanked you for saving me from the Geth, Commander. If you hadn't shown up,
I'm just glad we got there in time.
So am I. I know you took a chance bringing me aboard this ship. I have seen the way your crew looks at me. They do not trust me. But I am not like Benezia. I will do whatever I can to help you stop Saren. I promise.
Don't worry, Liara. I trust you. I know you won't let me down.
It means a lot to hear you say that, Commander. Thank you.
Do you know why Benezia joined up with Saren?
I don't understand it. She was always outspoken about the need for the Asari to become more involved in shaping galactic events. Maybe she thought allying herself with Saren would somehow be for the greater good in the long run. At least I hope so.
This hurts you, doesn't it?
None of this makes any sense to me. I have not spoken to Benezia in many years, but I know her, and this was not like her. Something changed.
I'd like to know more about the Asari.
We were the first species to discover the Citadel. We were instrumental in forming the Council, and we always strive to be the voice of peaceful cooperation in galactic disputes. My people believe we are all part of a single galactic community. Each species contributes something to the greater whole. Although we seek to understand other species, it seems few of them seek to understand us. The galaxy is filled with rumors and misinformation about my people.
Like what?
Most of the inaccuracies are centered around our mating rituals. My species is monogendered. Male and female have no real meaning for us. We still require a partner to reproduce. This second parent, however, may be of any species and any gender.
I don't understand. Your species can mate with anyone?
Mating is not quite the proper term, not as you understand it. Physical contact may or may not be involved, but it is not an essential element of the union. The true connection is mental. Our physiology allows us to meld with other beings. We can touch the very depths of their minds. We explore the genetic memory of their species. We share the most basic elements of their individual and racial identities. We then pass these traits on to our daughters. It is how we learn to grow as a species and how we develop a greater understanding of other races.
What happens to your partner after the union?
Every relationship is different. Some unions are a single encounter with both parents parting ways afterwards. Others can be more long-term. Sometimes an Asari and her partner will stay together for many decades.
Do you know who Matriarch Benezia chose as her partner?
She rarely spoke of her partner. Though I know my father, if you want to use that term, was another Asari.
I thought you always needed another species to serve as one of the parents.
Think about it, Shepard.
Yeah,
if we were not able to mate with our own species, we would have died out long before we ever mastered spaceflight and left our homeworld. Union with our own kind is no longer common, not for the purposes of reproduction. Most Asari believe it weakens our species. Asari daughters inherit racial traits from the father species. If both parents are Asari, then nothing has been gained, or so conventional wisdom would hold. I am what is sometimes called a pureblood, though no Asari would ever be cruel enough to say the word to my face. It is a great insult among my people. It is possible Benezia's partner was embarrassed by their union. She may have been too ashamed to publicly acknowledge me as her offspring.
Maybe she wanted to meet you but couldn't. Something could have happened to her. Maybe she passed away.
You might be right. I hope you are. But I have no way to know for sure. Benezia never spoke of her partner. Whatever happened, it caused her too much pain to dwell on it. She raised me by herself, though that is not uncommon. Many Asari raise their children alone, particularly if the father species is short-lived. Often the partner will pass on long before the child reaches maturity.
You Asari live for 1,000 years. What happens when your partner dies?
Few sapient species live as long as my kind. We have learned to take a philosophical approach to our unions. We do not focus on the inevitable loss of our partners. Instead, we enjoy the time we spend with them. And even after they're gone, a part of them lives on in us. The union is a connection that transcends both time and space.
I'd like to know more about the Asari.
We were the first... Although we seek to understand other species,
I should go.
Goodbye, Commander.
Okay, let's get let's get Liara all dressed. And then I can sell all the excess. Ooh. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna check back with Rex's stuff to see if we've gotten any better medium armor. weirdly, that is better. Okay.
Looking for supplies?
Let's see what you got.
You bet, Commander.
Okay, yeah, anything that has... I'm gonna keep all the Spectre stuff. Yeah, weirdly. Not as good as what I have. The Spectre armor. Yeah, I've got a ton of extra savants. I'm going to keep 3. In case at some point I want to use different grenade upgrades, I keep them, but I never use them, really. Okay.
Commander, how are you?
Why did you want to be a C-Sec officer in the first place?
That's a good question. There were several reasons, I guess.
Like what?
Probably the same as most officers. I wanted to fight injustice, wanted to help people. I guess my father had something to do with it too. He was C-Sec, one of the best. I grew up hearing about his accomplishments or seeing his picture on the vids after a big arrest. He's taking my resignation pretty hard.
That's tough. But you'd think he'd be impressed you're going after Saren.
My father's a C-Sec man to the bone. Do things right or don't do them at all, he says. He thinks I'm being too rash, too impatient. He's worried I'll become just like Saren. He actually talked me out of becoming a Spectre when I was younger, for the same reasons.
You were asked to be a Spectre?
Well, I was targeted as a possible Spectre candidate. Me and about 1,000 other Turian military recruits. I could have received special training, but my father didn't like it. He despises the Spectres. He hates the idea of someone having unlimited power with no accountability. He wouldn't like you, Commander. No offense.
I suppose I can understand his concern.
You can. But Saren's not going to play by our rules, C-Sec's rules. If you want to nail Saren, you need to send someone who isn't restricted by policies and procedures.
Yeah, this is really weird. I don't like... They kind of do some contortions in Garrus's story where they try to, you know, make him... He just said his origin story is wanting to fix injustice and help people. That isn't really open to all of this, you know, renegade whatever. So I always honor him according to that sentence. He wants to fix injustice. He wants to help people. As you go through his career, he will occasionally, like, try to fit a renegade. He will justify a renegade action. But it's just It's not great. So I'm going to choose to agree with him for my own reasons.
You're a quick learner, Garrus. We'll beat him at his own game. It's the only way to stop someone like him.
I'm right behind you, Commander.
So, yeah, it's just weird.
So, we've got Saren on the run.
It won't be long now. Saren's good, but I'm better.
Good? He's rotten. To the core. I could tell as soon as I met him.
Why didn't you tell me this sooner?
I would have if I thought it was important.
I think I'd like to hear about it just the same.
This was a while ago. A bunch of mercs were bragging about a job out near the edges of the Terminus systems. They said it paid well and the boss was never around to ride them. They said he was looking for more men, too. So I checked it out.
I didn't know Saren was openly recruiting mercs.
It wasn't that open, and he only showed his face once. We'd been raiding ships in the area for months when we took out this massive cargo freighter. Our biggest haul yet. I was on board checking bodies for valuables, looking for some extra credits. That's when I saw him.
What did Saren want with the ship?
I don't know what he wanted. He was just moving through the ship, watching. Couple of the mercs called him by name, but he never spoke to them. Never spoke to anyone. I had a really bad feeling about him, so I got the hell out. Didn't even wait to get paid.
What kind of cargo was the freighter carrying? What was Saren after?
I don't know. All I saw on that ship was food and medical supplies. There were some basic weapons, but nothing big. If there was anything of value on that ship, I didn't see it. That's why I didn't mention it sooner.
Whose ship was it?
It was a Volus trading vessel. Big one. Lots of guards. But they were no match for us.
That's the only time you saw him?
Yeah. Didn't even know who he was. Still wouldn't if I hadn't joined up with you. But my instincts were right. Every other merc on that mission turned up dead within a week. Every damn one.
So long, Rex.
Shepard.
Commander?
What's your opinion of the last mission?
Not sure I buy Dr. Tassoni's story about her and her mom not talking. They're family, right?
I think she's being straight with us. Or at least I don't think she lies very often.
Yeah, she's probably really bad at it. Too bad those ruins got destroyed. I mean, they lasted thousands of years. That's impressive.
Do you have a few minutes to talk? One-on-one?
Sure. I was hoping to get a minute of your time off the record.
I keep an open door policy. If you have any concerns, lay them on me.
All right. I know things are different aboard the Normandy, but I'm concerned about the aliens, Vicarian and Rex. With all due respect, Commander, should they have full access to the ship?
They may not serve the Alliance, Chief, but they're allies, at least as far as Saren goes.
This is the most advanced ship in the Alliance Navy. I don't think we should give them free rein to poke around the vital systems. Engines, sensors, weapons.
I don't really care about her, so I'm fine yelling at her for being racist.
That's enough, Chief. You always second-guess your superiors?
Ma'am, no ma'am. I'm sorry, I was out of line. I'll get back to my duties, Commander.
Yeah, you can do that more gently, but, you know, fuck that shit. Yes, I'm biased. Do not talk about my Garrus that way. I'll say, I will end you, but the matter of fact is, I will. I will end you. Yeah. I will and I have ended you. Like, every time. It's only a few times that I've saved her. And it won't be this time.
Something I can do for you, Commander.
Carry on, Adams.
Aye, aye, Commander.
Oh, hello, Shepard.
Are you okay?
I don't know. Your ship is amazing, and your crew's been really great to me, especially your chief engineer. But I just sort of feel out of place. The Normandy runs so smooth, it feels like we're not even moving. And the engines are so quiet. How do you sleep at night?
The silence wakes you up?
Back on the flotilla, the last thing you want to hear is silence. It means an engine's died or an air filter shut down. I guess you don't have to worry about that here. But old habits die hard. But it's more than just the silence. This ship feels so empty. It's like half the crew is missing. Back home, I couldn't wait to go on my pilgrimage. I couldn't wait to get away from the crowds. Now that I'm out here, I kind of miss them.
Sometimes we don't appreciate what we have till it's gone.
That's true. I'm starting to wonder if that's what the pilgrimage is really about. It's given me a whole new perspective on my people and our culture. You know, there's always a few who go on their pilgrimages and never return. I always assumed something bad happened to them, but maybe they just wanted a different life.
You do plan to return to the migrant fleet, right?
I could never abandon my people, Shepard. I will go back eventually, but we have to stop Saren first. Otherwise, I might not have a home to go back to.
Okay, I've asked all those questions.
I should go.
See you later.
Okay. So if you do that encounter a little bit more gently with Ashley, she'll say something about, you know, I'll do what you say, ma'am. You tell me to jump, I say how high. You ask me to kiss a Turian, and you say I don't think that'll be necessary. Really, you know, fuck this shit. People, I do not have the patience for this. Stay on Earth. Don't go somewhere or transfer somewhere where you're going to be encountering this. I don't really have any sympathy for all of the Ashley apologists. She says things like, I don't know the difference between the animals and the aliens. This is not, like, debatable, in my opinion. She is deeply racist, deeply untrusting, and she brings it to her commander's attention as though she were strategically wiser when she is really simply prejudiced. So she is clearly the renegade option. You know, Caden's the Paragon. He's not, you know, so I call him like a naive Gary Sue, the equivalent of the female Mary Sue, and she is very clearly racist and mistrustful. They try to lighten her up with I love her voice actress, but she's just, I mean, you can't really, for all the fans that try to explain that away, if she were in charge, she would treat aliens like shit. Literally tell members of the crew that risk their lives that they're not allowed to go to certain places on the ship. She would build a ship ghetto where people had to stay. And some of the things that she said, it is flat out, like, not how you treat people. So, she says something in one of the conversations, one that I didn't actually want to have here, where she says, you know, where you can ask her, why don't you think that you can trust them? And she was talking about having a dog. Like, that you couldn't command a dog to attack its own kind. That comment on its own, with other people going, well, she's right, isn't she? Yes, but she compared them to dogs, not partners. And, you know, so several different examples. Those are the 3 examples. I don't even want to hear it. I just wanted to shut up about it. So, I'm Commander Shepard. And that's what I did. And I'm afraid she's going to die for it.